welcome everyone to our special edition of Sweet Tea Time. My name is Regina Stiles and I am your host today. I am here in another location. I swear my location is changing every show, but that's good. That's fine. We are still going to have a lot of fun here today. And I want to start off by saying happy Juneteenth. It is June 19th, 2020. I want to go ahead and bring on our very special guest. I have to give you guys a warning right now that you are going to see some extra things on this show today. Some very extra stuff. So, and if you know our guest, especially one of them, he is the Queen Patti LaBelle and extra all around together. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome. They were the 47th elected monarchs of the Imperial Court of San Diego, and they are community leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome GiGi Masters and Darnelle. Well, hello.
Hello, how are you?
I am great. I don't know about that.
You knew he was gonna do that, girl.
What up, sister?
That's why I said if you know anything extra.
Happy Juneteenth.
What'd you say?
Happy Juneteenth.
Oh, same to you, honey. Same to you. I have to say that we are going to have some fun today. If you guys do not know GiGi and Darnelle, they are two peas in a pod, and they can laugh at anything and make anybody laugh, ladies and gentlemen. So we are going to have a great show today. So first off, thank you guys for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks for having us, yeah. And for all those people that never seen us in the same room at the same time, look.
Okay,
we are not the same person. It looked like we just did the brush challenge, though.
So wait a minute, are you saying that people confuse GiGi and Darnelle or GiGi and Pearl?
GiGi and Pearl. I've gotten free drinks because people have thought I was her.
Well, shit, I wish I could find somebody good like that to look like to get some free drink. So we're going to go ahead and get our interview started off. First off, I'd like to say I really like that painting behind you guys. Who did that, GiGi?
Ross.
Oh, okay. Ross.
It was a Stevie Wonder collection.
Yes. So before we get started, I just want to we're gonna touch on this subject a little bit later, but I just want to get it started by now. If you guys have fun with us today and you guys are loving GiGi and Darnelle and myself and what we're doing here today, at the bottom of the screen, we are doing everything today to donate to a cause called #TakeWhatYouNeed. GiGi and Darnelle will explain that a little bit later, but if you want to donate to that, you can go ahead and donate to Venmo at Randall-Welsh. It's Emperor Randy Saunders 2's Venmo, and all that money goes straight to Take What You Need. So that's what we're here for today, and that's where everything that we're all our donations are going to today. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started real quick. I just want to say hello. We have a bunch of people in our room today. Hello to Fifi. Hello to our reigning Empress. Stephen Blocker, Johnny Glenn, Lala's in the room. Edward, who happens to be sitting right in front of you, is in the room. Also, Victor, Roxy Blue, and a lot of other people. So,
hey everybody, how you doing?
Everybody. So we are going to start our interview here today with the same question that I ask everyone, and here it is: where were both of you guys born and raised?
Ladies first.
I am an anomaly. I've been here since I was 3, so I'm basically a native, and so that would put me at 44 years being here. Jesus Christ! But originally from Oklahoma.
Oh, okay.
But via the Navy, I am here in San Diego.
Nice. And Darnelle?
Know your way around base.
Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
Okay, so me, I was born in San Diego. I was born at Kaiser. I was primarily raised in San Diego, lived for a short period of time in Los Angeles and Las Vegas.
Now,
So you
what, Now, what brought you from what took you from San Diego to Los Angeles to Las Vegas?
Oh,
Section 8.
no, it was just mom had a job opportunity. We moved up to LA. And after a series of unfortunate events, we found ourselves homeless actually in LA. So that experience being homeless had shaped my life a lot.
Oh, okay, and we can get into that later. Now, one of the things I do want to talk about is family. Now, Darnelle, I've known you for umpteen amount of years, and I've only known you to have one sister. Is that? Do you have more than that, or is?
Yeah,
Oh,
most people know my sister Brittany because we were raised together. So we're 15 years apart. She's 30 years old, and I also have
What's that woman's age?
Why? She don't care what you're gonna do. And I also have a sister Tiffany. So my sister and I, Brittany, we have the same mom, and my sister and I, Tiffany, we have the same dad. So I'm the only son between my mom and my dad. I'm the only boy.
right. Allegedly.
Right. There you go.
Now, Gigi, I've known you for over 20 years. You watched me go from here to here and here.
From here, yeah, exactly.
So, and I've known you for that long, and I've never heard you talk about any brothers or sisters. How about you?
I am the youngest of 5 children.
Okay.
I have 3 older brothers and 1 sister. 2 of my siblings are deceased. I just lost one in October, this past October. But I am the junior by 10 years to my closest sibling, which is my sister. So all of my siblings are 10 years plus older than me.
Oh, okay. We can go with that. So now you've lived in San Diego basically your whole life. You've never moved. You've never faltered, except for coming here from Oklahoma.
Right, correct.
Right.
I've been here.
Now, as I know you guys, and depending on what situation we're in, would you guys say you both grew up a little bit more on the effeminate side? Or
oh yeah, I was busy.
So I was that kid that was sneaking in the mama's closet, stealing her wigs and slips. Remember when mama used to wear slips? I would pull them up and use them as a baby doll dress. That was me.
And how about you, Gigi?
Same thing. I was very effeminate as a child. It wasn't everybody knew. My best friend was a little girl in the front of the projects that we lived in. We was together every day. Now, me being effeminate didn't mean that I wasn't a boy. I was just an effeminate boy. I was one of the roughest boys on my block because I had to beat everybody up because they were talking. Oh, I almost cursed it. Because it was bothering me.
Oh, that is so funny. So now how about this? When did you both realize that you were different in the way of liking boys?
Well, for me, it was when we lived in Los Angeles. I had a young friend. I was in elementary school, and I had a friend named Leon. I remember one day he invited me over to his home because his cat had just given birth to kittens. Shut up. And when I went to Leon's home and he showed me the kittens, I dropped to my knees and I said, "Oh my God, these are so cute." And I used the word cute a few times, and his mom heard me. The next day, he avoided me like the plague. And I tried to play with him. He didn't want to play with me on the playground. He said, "My mom said you're a faggot." And I didn't know what that meant. So I said, there's something later on when I knew what it meant. I said, these are things that maybe people picked up on before I even knew about them. So that was my first experience in elementary school, feeling different when I was younger.
Now, you didn't have any kind of, after picking up on those feelings, you didn't have any like attraction or feelings towards your friend, did you?
No, none whatsoever. No, not at all.
Mama squashed that, honey.
Not at all.
Now, how about you, Gigi?
I've always known that for a while, I was attracted to girls. I was quote unquote bisexual for a while, but I knew the stronger attraction was to boys than girls. So even though I experimented with girls, I knew the stronger attraction were to boys. So, and that started, when I first, uh, my sexual awakening, when I first realized what you could supposed to do with certain body parts. So
Yeah, somebody just wrote on our live feed here that said it's crazy that cute means gay. Okay, like you saying the word cute means you're gay.
Well, I'm sorry. I was snapping my fingers every time I said it too.
You are too much. You are too much. So let's go back to you said the feelings in school and realizing it in school. Did you guys ever get into any kind of like altercations with people or people accusing you of being gay or anything like that?
Me, I used my humor to diffuse a lot of that. A lot of the bullying that some kids experience when they're young and coming out, I used my humor. And I would surround myself by popular people in school, make them laugh, and they would protect me. I feel safe around.
And you, Gigi?
no, I used to whoop people. I did.
Plain and simple.
I used to whoop people. I did. I was one of those kids that, I grew up in a family that you had to fight to survive because, there were 5 kids in my family. My aunt had 10 kids. My other aunt had uh, 7. So, it was a lot of cousins. So it was a lot. And me being the only feminine boy, I had to do a lot of fighting at home, within my cousins, and, just to prove that I wasn't no quote unquote punk. So then when I got to school, I wasn't going to let them punk me either. So, it was a lot of fighting. A lot of people got hurt. And
all my life I had to fight. And me, I couldn't fight. I would bite you and scratch you, but I couldn't fight. And my mom enrolled me in Taekwondo. I used it once and got my ass whooped.
Wow. I guess that money went to waste, didn't it?
Pretty much.
One of the funniest stories from my childhood that my aunt used to tell me, I talked about, is when I was a younger child, my father, we had a big tree in our front yard, and my father built me a swing in the front yard, just so that I could be, play and not be bothered. Well, I woke up one morning during the summertime, and two neighborhood kids was outside on my swing. So I'm territorial, so I go outside and tell them to get off my swing, and they told me no and kept on swinging like I wasn't standing there. So the boy that was swinging, I asked him again nicely to get off the swing, and he wouldn't get off the swing. So as he came by me the next time, I grabbed the swing, his ass flew off. So from there the fight started. So I ended up whooping both of those little boys in my front yard that morning with the swing. And so my mother was looking out the window. She broke up the fight, and she was going to chastise me for beating up the 2 little boys. And my aunt, who was living next door, jumped in and was like, you better not whoop him because he was protecting his property.
Right? So now let's talk about your coming out stories. When you finally decided it was time for you guys just to either let the world know, hey, I'm gay, or it was forced out of you. Why don't we start with Gigi?
So I had been feminine and messing with boys since I started high school at that point, physically. So, I still had a girlfriend at that time, but I was doing stuff on the side. So after, it was after my prom, actually, we had gone up, and I actually had a girlfriend and a boyfriend in high school. So what happened was I went to prom with my girlfriend, and then I ditched her and went to Oceanside with my boyfriend and stayed the weekend in Oceanside. So
real quick to stop your story, you said high school and you said prom. So I want to show this picture to everybody watching. So let's take a look. Now, that's a picture from your high school prom?
That is a picture from my high school. That is the ASB ball. That was the ball right before our prom.
Oh, okay.
That was the ASB ball.
Yeah, I just found a picture of you in high school. I was like, let me show this one.
Oh my God, that haircut, Jesus.
It looked like Wesley Snipes.
All right, so continue your story.
Oh, so after we got through, after the prom was over, it was like four of us, four different couples. So we had all rented a limo. We get prom is over, and we was all supposed to go to the beach to hang out afterwards. Well, me and my boyfriend, who also had a girlfriend at that time, decided we was going to Oceanside for the weekend and hang out up there. And his dad had gotten us a room in a hotel in Oceanside. So I left. When they dropped me off at home, I packed a bag and went. And by the time I packed the bag, my boyfriend was outside in the rental car, and we was gone the whole weekend. So by the time I got back, my mom was like, Where have you been?" And I was like, "Well, kind of been with my boyfriend." And she just said, "Huh?" She's like, "Mom," I said, "Mom, I'm gay." She's like, "Well, I just waiting for you to tell me." I've been known, and walked off like it wasn't nothing. I was kind of upset. I was expecting a little more dramatics, but sometimes it don't work out like that.
Okay, so wait a minute. Now we're talking about dramatics. Darnelle,
Yeah,
tell your story.
mine was way more dramatic. I really tried to hide it from my mom, and after mom found out, I didn't care who knew, but I did everything I could to hide it from mom.
Even after the wigs?
Even after wigs came up missing, I lied about. My mom would come out and say, "I can't find my good wig. Where is my slips?" They was in my car. So it was one day I came home from work. I think I was working at Kentucky Fried Chicken, and we lived in La Mesa. And I came home, and my mom didn't. I said, "Hey, Mom." She didn't speak to me. She was sitting at the table. She didn't speak, and I'm like, "Oh, okay." I just went to my room, and my answer machine was broken. Well, my mom surprised me with a new answer machine. But little did she know, the old one, the box where it came in, that's where I hid my porn at. And she came across a magazine called Rump. And it was a Rump magazine. That's when people used to have to go to F Street and stuff, buy that little magazine. And it was a white man sitting on the bed with a tub of Crisco. I'll never forget the cover of that magazine because it was sitting right there on my bed. And I'm like, oh my God. And then she called me out the room, screamed my name. And I came out the room, and she told my sister to go to her room and shut the door. And I sat down in front of her, and she said, "What do you call yourself?" I said, "What are you talking about? What in the hell do you call yourself?" I said, I'm a bisexual." She said, "What the hell is that?" I said, "I like boys and girls." She said, "Why the hell would you like boys and girls? You need to choose something." I said, "Ma, I like boys and girls. I'm a bisexual." She let out the loudest piercing scream, and she fell backwards out the chair and took her hair off, screaming and crying. And she said, "You got to get out of here. I'm leaving San Diego. You an embarrassment. They always told me you was different." And I'm like,
That's what she came up
yeah. And she said, "I'm telling your father." Now, this is in the 90s. "I'm telling your father." And then I would say we didn't speak for about 2 weeks. And my dad, she did tell my dad, and I never knew it. Because years later, when I got engaged to my husband and I came out to my dad, he said, "Your mom told me back in the 90s, when you were in the mid 90s, I've always known." He said, "I just didn't care. That's why I never brought it up to you." So dad took it really easily. Mom, not so much. But now mom is my biggest fan.
So yeah, that is a totally funny story, and it's so much when I talk to you in person, and you've told me that story a couple of times. The animation that you give makes that
Oh, yeah.
story
When I fall
so,
back out the chair,
yeah, so yeah,
snatching off an invisible wig. Yeah.
right. So I'm watching our live feed as we're doing our show here, and Nicole is finally in the room.
Hey,
Oh,
QM.
And she says she loves these stories that you guys are telling, and then she put bisexual question mark.
bisexual question mark. Exactly.
You buy me something, I get sexual.
Right.
Well, I was once engaged to a woman.
And
We both were. We both were engaged to women in the past.
yeah, and Gigi, she says your hair looks real, girl, realness.
It looks different in person.
Right. So
It looks different in person.
speaking of realness and speaking of when did both of you guys start doing drag? When did drag come into your lives? Let's start with Gigi.
Okay. I was 25, so a little over 20 years ago. A friend of ours was throwing a Halloween party in Balboa Park at the clubhouse in Balboa Park, huge party, and he wanted some entertainment. And so me, my sister Platinum, God rest her soul, she's no longer with us, and Jasmine Masters, my sister, we decided we was going to get in drag and do it. And so we all went and bought shit or stole stuff out of other people's closets and stuff like that. And we put on a show. And of course, I did a gospel number, and Jasmine did some dance number, and I can't remember what Platt did. But we became like a success in our like every time in our circle of people. Every time somebody had a party, they wanted us to come and perform at their party. So that's how drag got started for me. We did it as a favor for a friend of ours who was actually throwing a party.
Now, real quick, Darnell, one of the oldest pictures I could find of Gigi, I'm going to pop up on the screen now. I actually remember this. Let's see if you can remember where this picture was taken.
Is that the funeral?
No, my God, I haven't seen that picture.
Wait, she has a crown pin on.
No, you'll see it. It'll come up over
it'll
here.
come up, yeah, because I can only see it from the breast down.
That picture, God, what was that picture? Didn't we? Oh, I remember. Didn't we go take pictures? Me, you, and Satin went and took pictures?
If I remember correctly,
or was that at a coronation?
That was at one of the coronations at the USS Grant, I think.
Oh, God, I haven't seen that picture. I think that was one of the first dresses that I ever made.
And she had a waist.
Yep. I think I made that because I draped that purple piece. That purple piece wasn't even stitched on. It was like I draped it across here. I pulled a piece out of here, draped it across my back, and then I had a rubber band holding it by.
Okay, now how about you, Darnell?
First lady of the church.
I think I had 3 ounces of makeup on.
How
about you?
Who, me?
Yeah, how about you?
How did you get started in drag?
Oh my god! Oh, started in drag. Okay, public drag. When the song "Bootylicious" came out.
Now you know.
Yeah. So when was that? What, 95, 96?
Did you say Bootylicious?
Bootylicious, yes. That's the era. That's the era in which I kind of came out. Yeah. Because me and my friends would dress up. There's 3 of us, and I would dress up like Beyonce. So I was Beyonce in the group.
Okay, so I found some really old pictures of you, of probably some of your first times out in public in drag. And I am going to go ahead and pop that up right now.
Oh Lord, let me see.
That's
so San Francisco.
Picture it.
Oh my God, you know how much money I made that night. I had legs for days, didn't I?
Yes.
Back in the day, we just shave and use a little bit of baby oil. Oh my goodness.
The reason his legs spread so far apart is because he couldn't tuck well, and so that's why he's standing.
So now
that's actually not the strap on the coat.
Now, while we're talking about that, I am going to go ahead. There is one more picture that goes along with that one that I am going to go ahead and throw up there that I think gives you a little bit more makeup, at least. And it's this one.
Oh my goodness. That's when you take the nails out and don't file them down, don't do nothing, just glue them on. And I had the nice garage doors where you just do one color all the way up to the eyebrows. Oh my goodness. And no titties on, no pads, I was just natural, all natural. When I walked, yes, I was just straight tuna that night.
Barracuda fish.
Wow. So we can definitely say that both of you guys have come a long way in
Oh
drag.
Yes, Jesus. Thank you.
Um,
yes.
now,
I
now,
didn't even know you had to wear powder on top of foundation.
now, speaking of, you were talking about drag, and Gigi mentioned it just a minute ago. Let's talk about drag families. Now, there are a lot of people in the gay world who really their drag family is really sometimes the only family they have. And you mentioned it earlier, Gigi. So why don't we start with you? How did you become involved and become a master's?
Um, that was well, we knew our drag mother, Destiny. His real name is Wesley. Um, it was a friend of ours, and he was the original one that brought us in. He was a part of a family, the Masters family in Los Angeles, where the majority of my family is based. Um, and he was in Oceanside. He was a Marine, if you can believe that. He lived in Oceanside and was a Marine, but was doing drag on the side. So, but he used to come down and hang down with us on the weekends when they used to have brown sugar night at the Brass Rail on Friday
Yeah.
night. So when he would come down and hang with us, and so when we started doing the parties, me and Jasmine and Platt, when we started doing the parties, that's when he came around and started showing us how to do the makeup and stuff like that. And he kind of helped us refine and find our looks. And he knew how to sew, so he would help us with, put costumes and stuff together. And then after a while, he just adopted us as his daughters. And so what would happen was he would come down to San Diego like maybe on a Friday or something like that, and then asked me and Jasmine if we wanted to go back to Oceanside with him. We didn't know no better. We said, yeah, we'll go back. And then he would keep us for a week because he was a Marine. So he had to go on the base, which was Camp Pendleton. So we had no way of getting home because we ain't had no job at that time. So, we stuck in Oceanside, hanging at his house. So we would do all his wigs and, you know, playing in his makeup, and that's kind of how we learned how to paint and stuff like that, playing in his makeup and stuff. And then on the weekends, he would take us from Oceanside and we would go to LA. And then we started performing at the Catch One, and that's how I met the rest of my drag family, my grandmothers, my cousins, and stuff like that. So I literally have a whole family, drag family in Los Angeles, beside my kids that live here.
Now, Darnell, I think the story is a little bit different with you. You really didn't, your drag family didn't really develop until you actually became Mia Pearl, correct?
Granny Pearl.
Well,
Yeah.
no. Well, I know, but did you have
Well,
a?
no, and then unlike Gigi, you have I have some kids and everything. I never had a drag mom. I do have someone that I look up to as a drag mom. It was the very first drag queen I've ever seen perform, the first black drag queen I've ever seen perform in San Diego. Norma's been doing it the longest, but I'd never seen Norma the first time I went to a club when I was 20. The first drag queen I saw that was black was Onyx. And when I would watch Onyx on stage, she was a dream girl. She was amazing, and I was in awe. And she was the first drag queen to do my face, and she made me look amazing. And I also remember
Never looked the same.
Mr. Could never duplicate, could never find out where to put that orange that she would put on. And I remember my first pair of real high heels was given to me by Mr. Maryland. There was
Yeah.
also a dream girl back in the day. But so my default mom, and she don't know it, is Onyx. So every time I see Onyx, I'm like, oh, that's like my mom.
And that's funny because he would say that because Onyx is my mother as well. What happened was when my drag mother Wesley moved moved when he got out of the Marines, he moved to Atlanta, and we lost contact for almost 8-9 years. And so when I couldn't find him and couldn't contact him, Onyx stepped in and became my drag mother. So I actually have two drag mothers.
So now that we're okay, we've talked about drag, we've talked about your drag families. Now let's talk about the family that you've created, Darnell. Why don't we talk about how you met your husband? How did you meet Edward?
Oh, Edward. Okay. And he's sitting right here, so I won't look over at him and embarrass him. It was also on, well, it was Brown Sugar Night, but we called it Chocolate Bunny Night. at the rail. That's when the rail was really a hole in the wall where the balcony is. That's where the bathrooms were. That's
Right.
way back in the day. And the DJ was up in the roof, and he had dropped down a clipboard, and you can request a song. So
Was
one
you there
night,
at the grand opening day?
and Sandy would be behind the bar with the long hair. Yes, back in those days. I was walking up a ramp and walked past Edward, and I said hello to him. I thought he was someone else, and he said hello back. And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I thought you were someone else." He said, "Oh no, it's okay." And I walked past him, and I'm like, "Oh my gosh, I've seen this guy around before, but he's so out of my league and everything." And I told my friends about him. Oh, that one guy I saw, I haven't seen him in a while. I said hello to him. He said hi back to me, and I thought about him all week. And then I said, well, I'm going to have the courage. I'm going to go back 1 week from that night and see if he's there again and see if I have the courage to ask him to dance or something if I see him again.
Basically stalking.
So we went back, me and my friends went back there. And I was on the dance floor by myself, just spinning and dipping with tissue and stuff, doing airplanes. And this white girl came up to me and she said, "Do you want to dance?" I'm like, "Yeah, girl, come on." She said, "No, not with me, my friend." I'm like, "Who's your friend?" And she pointed to Edward. And she brought him along. I'm like, "Oh my God, this guy's back at the club." And the whole song, it was just, we played 20 questions like, "What's your name?" This kind of loud. Yeah. "And where do you live?" And yeah. "And what kind of car do you drive?" It was like that. And we spent the rest of the evening talking and everything. And that was a Friday night. That Sunday was the first Super Bowl after 9/11 when Mariah Carey sung the national anthem. And I had a big party. And I changed outfits 7 times. And I invited him and his I invited him and his friend to our home, to my house. And after everyone left, he came back and we spent the whole night just talking the whole night long.
Just talking?
Just talking. Just talking.
Okay.
I tried to try something. He said, no, he's classy. He's classic, man. And then I was ready to give him a set of keys to my place by Wednesday because I'm like a lesbian. I knew it was just him. I knew this was the one. Lesbians always know this is the one. They try to move in right away. So, and then from there, we've just always been together.
And how long has it been now?
Oh my goodness. 18 years? 18 years? Yeah, so we got married before it was legal in 2006. We had a very big wedding, very nice wedding. And then we got married legally in 2008 when it was legal for that short 6-month window. We got married legally.
Run to the church house.
Ran to the church house. Yeah.
So this question specifically for Darnelle, again, why don't you tell us about how you decided or how it just came up of your creation of Granny Pearl?
I wanted to get over my fear of being on stage. So because I wanted to start to do stand-up comedy. So I would start to do karaoke, and that helped me get over my fear of being on stage. And then I enrolled in a comedy school at the Comedy Store in La Jolla, taught by Sandy Shore, which is Mitzi Shore's daughter. She owns it. Pauly Shore's sister, Sandy Shore. And so I took her class, and on stage, I would do a voice of an old lady. And one day, Sandy Shore told me, "Why don't you dress up like the old lady that you're doing a voice?" And I said, "Oh no." And she's like, "Yeah, just try it." So I went to the thrift store and got me a gray wig and a church dress and came back and tore the house down as Granny. So that's why I started doing, and all I was wearing back then was glasses and lipstick. So it was really rustic. And so I started doing stand up like that at the Comedy Store. And so that transition that got me over to NBC.
So why don't you tell people who don't know, and I mean, you talk about it all the time, so I don't know how people don't know.
I don't talk about it all the time.
Why don't you tell us about your journey on America's Got Talent and how that started?
I was on season 2. I made it 3 rounds. I did stand-up comedy as an old lady named Granny Pearl. And I stayed in character 24/7 to the point where they weren't sure if I was really an old lady or not. A lot of people that were part of the show did not know because I did not break my voice. I always had my cane, everything. And I would walk into a room and people would just stop and just watch me because I was so big. You know, they say, "Oh my God, what's this old lady? What is her talent?" Or men would rush to open the door for me and stuff. And I remember one time I had to go to the bathroom. There was a long line for the women's, and I had to make a choice. I said, "Okay." I went in the men's bathroom and I stood at the urinal and just had to lift everything to up and then pull stuff to the side. And a little boy came in with his daddy, and they stood at the urinal. And the little boy, I could just see him staring at me. And I tried to get as close to the urinal as possible. And he said, "Daddy, that lady's standing up."
He should have said, she got good aim, son.
But that experience, anytime I get nervous, I usually try to tell myself, "Don't get nervous. Say you're excited." I always remember the experience of being on America's Got Talent, where millions of people were watching me, and being in that theater with almost 1,000 people, and you're underground. So you don't know what anything looks like, and they bring you up, and suddenly it's lights, camera, action. There's no time to decompress anything. And I always use that experience. Think about that anytime I feel like I'm going to get about something. I'm like, "Bitch, you've been on nationwide television. You better calm the hell down."
Right. All right. So now let's switch gears to we've talked about drag. We've talked about your creation of Granny Pearl. Let's talk about what has brought you guys to the dance, and which is the Imperial Court de San Diego. We'll start with Gigi because I know your journey in the court started way back in 1998.
Watch your mouth. Watch your mouth.
Hey,
Watch your mouth.
that's where my journey started, 97, 98.
I started in the court. I was actually dragged into the court by a former Satin Styles, who is your drag mother, who was my sister at that time. She's transitioned and she's no longer with us, but she was avid in the court. She was always running for stuff and doing stuff. And she was also a very accomplished karaoke singer. And she won several awards across the nation and across the city and stuff in the state. And they were, if I'm not mistaken, I got pulled into doing a benefit. And she was like, "Well, just come do the benefit." And at that time, I was trying to get some money for performing and putting on makeup. And I was like, "Well, how much is they giving?" And they was like, "No, they ain't giving nothing. You just gonna come perform." And I was like, "But why? I don't understand that." And so that's how I started. That was my first introduction to the court, was by Satin. But you know, she just kept dragging me to certain like benefits and stuff like that. And then eventually she can convince me to come to a court meeting. And as they say, the rest is history. But yeah, I didn't walk in this alone. I was drugged by my wig.
Now, Darnelle, you got involved with the court as like more of a spectator, because I got to know you a little bit more working as a karaoke host at the Red Wing. That's how more of our friendship developed. And you were DJ for a lot of the events that used to happen at the Red Wing. Yeah. So is that how you got your involvement, by being behind the scenes before you got in front?
No, it was more or less after I was on America's Got Talent. That's when people in the court started. I started going out to more court events, and they would ask me to perform or host. And so I would show up at court events as Granny. And I would be that person in the back of the room that was so amazed at how people in the court dressed and how they looked. And I really got more involved during Reign 41, which is Empress Candy Samples, when she made me a Grand Duchess.
Right. Now, that is actually true, because you did host my campaign party when I ran for Empress as Granny Pearl from America's Got Talent. I do remember that.
Oh, remember when we did that, when we was at the swimming pool in the bathing suits, when we was in the municipal pool in North Park?
Oh yeah, we did drag swimming at the children's pool. Yeah.
All right, guys, we're going to go ahead and take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Gigi and Darnelle's journey through the Imperial Court of San Diego. We will be right back.
Darling, welcome to Lips, the ultimate in drag dining.
We serve up dinner and Vegas-style drag shows 6 nights a week.
We have show-stopping entertainment, and the entertainment never stops.
Lips is the ultimate party place Whether it's your birthday or bachelorette party, we can make your day fabulous. So call for your reservation today, darlings, and we'll see you soon.
All right, you guys, welcome back. Welcome back. We are still here for It's Sweet Tea Time here on Juneteenth, June 19th. We're here with our very special guests, the one and the only, the 47th elected monarchs of the Imperial Court of San Diego. Ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome back GiGi Masters and Darnelle. Well, hello.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Y'all having a good time here today with us?
Oh,
So
absolutely.
far, so
Yeah.
good.
I mean, you look like Kelly Pickler.
She like
I didn't compliment that beautiful blonde hair of yours.
she look like she been pickling something.
You know, I saw you laughing when I played the Lips commercial.
Oh my God, I haven't seen that. I have not seen that commercial in eons. That's the first commercial that they ever did for Lips. Oh my God. You know how many snippets of things that they had to pull together to
Right.
put that together? It took almost 2 weeks to put that one commercial together.
Well, I believe it. Now, GiGi, why, before we get into the court stuff, why don't you tell me about your experience with getting involved with Lips until you left Lips?
So when Lips started in 98, 99, that's when they started. And I am one of the original cast members for Lips. Actually, me and Satin, your mom, were our original cast members. They had put out a citywide call for drag queens and for the restaurant. And we were, Yvonne LeMay, which is one of the owners at that time, was here from New York. And we were actually auditioning for the restaurant on a stage that had not even been completed. Like, it was like plywood and stuff like that. So we was nervous, like we wondered if we was going to fall through the thing or not. And this was when Lips was on Fifth Avenue off of Nutmeg across from the cathedral, the church. Yeah, we started there, and that was in 99, and I remember it because it started in June, and the reason I know it was 99 because the first year that was 2000, and remember everything they were doing the Y2K thing when everything was supposed to turn off and all that power and stuff was supposed to shut off at midnight year 2000. So we played a trick on the audience. So when midnight hit, we did the New Year's Eve party. And when midnight hit, we shut all the power off in the restaurant. And everybody freaked out. People started screaming and stuff like that. And then we shut the lights back on. I was like, surprise, it's a joke. But yeah, I had been a part of Lips from then until 2013. Yeah. So I was a part of it for 13 years.
So I know that you were one of the, at least here in San Diego, because there are a bunch of different locations. You are one of the foundation of Sunday Gospel Brunch.
Yes, I am.
I found a picture. So I'm going to pop this up there and you can just tell me all about it.
Oh, my goodness.
So this was actually an Easter picture. So every Easter, it's just like I would make everybody go buy Easter suits and go buy hats. It was totally me. I was the one that did it. So that is me. I'm sitting in a chair. To everybody's left, that's my daughter Kiki. In the middle, that's Justice, who works at the Atlanta location now. And then at the very end, that's Estonia, and that's Stephen Blocker. Anybody knows Stephen Blocker? That's Stephen Blocker's drag mother, and she has transitioned. She's no longer with us. But yeah, that was an Easter picture. Every year at Easter, I made everybody go buy church suits and hats, and that's what we made. That's what we did for Easter every year at Lips.
And they're also known as the Clark sisters.
Oh, and that's Levita sitting next to me in a chair. Levita Cruz, that's my sister.
Right. All right, so now let's get back to talking about the Imperial Court of San Diego. Now, GiGi, I know you have been involved for a really long time. Like I said, you and I both started around the 97, 98 point. My first reign that I was involved in was Fifi. You were involved. You got involved, I think, after that. uh, with Summer Meadows.
Uh-huh.
And you had decided you've never ran for anything until you ran for Princess Royale against Chantal.
Yes.
And that was
Yes. I remember that because I was performing and my titty fell out. It did. What happened was we were getting ready and I left my good bra I was packing so much stuff and I was really nervous. I packed the wrong bra and I had them really heavy rice titties that your mother used to
Did you say rice?
rice titties. You took a pound of rice and you put it in stockings and you roll the stockings around and then you put it in. So it was really heavy.
All the people that are hungry.
So
right.
I was performing and I had a flimsy bra on. And so as I'm performing, the titty kept coming up and up and up. And then afterwards, it's like, bloop. So I just picked it up, put it on the stage and kept performing. That was my production number. Good times.
Rice went everywhere.
Right. I was there. I remember. Now, Darnelle, let's talk about you. You, like you said, you were in the background amazed by all these different people and all these different things of what the court was doing. And you got really involved when you joined Reign 41, which was the People's Empress Candy Samples. And you decided to run for Empress. Tell us that journey and what made you come to that decision.
Oh my goodness. Well, people had asked me for a few years about running. Wasn't quite ready. Plus, I did an older character that didn't do her eye makeup. I'm wearing glasses as an old lady with gray hair. Didn't really fit in with the imperial court. You know what I'm saying? So I tried to start working on makeup when I was part of Candy Samples Reign. And then I said, you know what? I think I'm going to go ahead and go for it. I'm going to go ahead and run for Empress. It just so happened that my sister, she's my sister now, one of the most beloved people in San Diego that's ever been Empress, she's been Empress twice, is Tony Saunders. She was running also at the same time.
She didn't like you then.
Yes, she did. And so Tony, being that she was Empress 15, and she was now running for 42. She's been around for a very long time. I was just Johnny come lately. And a lot of people in the court didn't think I could win, but I said, if I don't win, it's okay. I'm just going to try my hardest. And that's all I could do. And so I tried to bring in new people and do some new things. And a lot of photoshopped pictures later, I won. And I became Empress 42, and I reigned with Robert Rodriguez.
So I'm going to go ahead and pop up a picture that I found of you and your emperor.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the dress. The dress. That dress weighs about 27, 30 pounds, somewhere around there. All those. Gigi made the dress, and Katrina Duall stoned it. And she wouldn't stop. And she kept telling me, order more stones, order more stones, order more stones.
So let's talk about, let me just ask you a real quick question. What was your relationship with Rob before you became monarchs together?
I didn't know him. I'd seen him before. I'd heard his name before.
In the bushes.
I'd been to the Eagle before.
In the bushes.
But I just didn't know him. And so I made it a priority, and so did he, for us to get to know each other, because there was a possibility I would win. So if I won, we would have to know each other. And I would say this, after we were elected, I think only 3 days went by in a year where we didn't speak. We spoke almost every day because I knew communication would be important for this journey, especially being that we were virtual strangers to each other. And that helped us have a positive reign. A great team of PRs and a great team of friends that helped us along.
Okay, now let's get to the point where we have to ask Gigi the almighty question. You have been involved since '98. It's 2018. What took you so long to run for Empress?
I teach her running for Empress. That's what took me so long.
Actually, you did. It just wasn't with me. It
And
was with another brother in town that you run with.
yeah, so at I had already received my lifetime title from Lala sometime before, so I was content with just being crown princess. I didn't have to run for it. I did my work, still do my stuff in the community. I ain't got to go through all of that headache and all of that other stuff. And I had said that the only person that I would reign with or run with would have been um, Emperor Tom Dickerson. And he was the only one that would probably be able to convince me to run because I had no intention of running for Empress.
Right.
So then here comes this Joker. Last year before last, talking about Gigi, you should run. You should run. I don't want to run. You should run. I don't want to run. You should run. I don't want to run.
I was tipsy and I made a joke.
And then there is a circle of a circle of empresses. I call them the Stygian witches. That were like, after Darnell started it, then they jumped on it, and they have been waiting for me to run for Empress for a long time. They've been trying to get me in the Empress circle for a while, and I think you were part of that little group too. They were like, you should run. This will be a good thing. You should have been an Empress a long time ago, and I didn't still want to run. It took a long time. It took about 2 months to convince it for me to even consider it. It took a minute because I had already had my lifetime, so I was like, for what?
So we'll fast forward there. So you decided to run. You ran. Both of you guys were elected because Darnell decided to run for Emperor. I'm going to pop a picture up here, and I want you to tell me. I look at this picture and I know what I think, but I want you to tell me your first thought when you see this picture, or what you were thinking when you look at this picture.
when we won, we were just looking at each other because I honestly didn't expect to win. I actually expected the person that was running against me, which was Apollonia Diamond, to win. I really didn't think I was winning, and so when they called my name, I was actually shocked and astonished. So when we got down there and they was putting up, first of all, I put up a post that said the way I was looking at Darnell, I was like, what the hell did you get me into? Actually, we both think it was, we was kneeling down on that post,
and that thing
was wobbling, and we was holding on for dear life, trying not to topple over in front of this room full of people.
Yeah, I said, girl, don't move because we'll fall forward. I said, we will fall right off the stage.
We was holding on for dear life. They need a new podium so that big people can kneel on it because that ain't gonna work. They fool around and kill somebody.
Poor little Barbie got a cramp.
They had to help us back up, and we was holding on. The thing was shaking. It was a good time.
So you guys, now, Gigi, this is your first time being Empress.
Yeah.
Darnell, this is your second time being a monarch. The question I want to ask you here is, Darnell, how did being a monarch the first time and being a monarch this time affect your relationship with Edward?
Oh, it was tougher the first time around because I wanted to please everyone. I wanted to be everywhere, and it's just not realistic. You're not going to please everybody. You can't make it to every function, and that took away a lot of time away from home as far as traveling, etc. But I remember having a conversation one day with Roxy Blue, Empress Roxy Blue, and she said to me, you only have to please yourself. You only have to make yourself happy. And so I remember that, and I said, okay, I'm not going to please everybody. I'm not going to please everybody. I'm not going to please everybody. And so and then when it came time for me to run again, I kind of prepared them a year before and said, I'm thinking about it. And it would just come up just gently in conversation. I'm still thinking about it. I would like to do it. I'm still thinking about it. And financially, I was in a better place the second time around because I was damn near broke the first time around. So there's different ways you can travel and try to save money, etc. But the second time around, it was more of an enjoyable experience because I knew what to expect. And then this one always had to keep reminding me about common sense. when it comes to things that you apply common sense. You know, these are bylaws, so people usually do this, but you got to apply some common sense to it. And so that's why I really enjoyed reigning this time, because I wasn't so stressed out and kind of knew what to expect.
Now, this is a question for both of you. How do you guys think you guys did as monarchs?
We did great. We did fantastic.
I was pleased.
You know, it's a number one. It's a lot to even get up the gumption to run and become a
It's a
monarch.
lot.
It's so for you to even complete your reign, in my opinion, is an awesome achievement, because there are people who have started reigning and they've quit or they've done something and got removed. So just surviving the year is enough to be successful. But I honestly think that we did a wonderful job. We were well received by the community, and by the court system in general. Quit looking at Jada. Um, um, we were well received. We're well loved on the court circuit. Um, you know, we raised a lot of money, so I think we did very well this year, our year.
And we had a great team of people.
No, we didn't.
So we had a great team of people. A lot of support from people in the court,
And outside of the court.
and outside of the court. We had a lot of support from people, and that's really important. Is the support that you get. And we barely made it before everything got shut down.
We barely made it before Rona came in.
Don't worry, we're gonna get to that. This is the last question I have that has to do with the court, and then we're gonna move on. Like we've talked already before, that Darnelle has been an empress and been an emperor. Gigi, I just have one last question for you. Would you ever do it again?
Hell no! I'm sorry. No, I think I run my course as far as being a monarch. I'm fine being in the record books and in the program with a black and white picture. Thank you very much.
But never say never. You may see an Emperor Gary one day.
Never.
Girl, I think Gigi is like me. She's got more girl clothes than she does boy clothes. So, real quick before we get on with our next couple subjects that we're going to be talking about, we're going to go ahead and go over. Like I said before at the beginning of the show, ladies and gentlemen, at the bottom of the screen, if you have liked what you've seen and you enjoy everything, please donate to hashtag Take What You Need at Venmo Randolph Welsh. That's Venmo. So please, if you like what you see, please donate to that. That's what we're going to get to right now. Darnelle, you have been sitting at home, and you had, you were sitting at home and just thinking, I'm tired of sitting here. I want to do something. And this is what I think needs to be done. Why don't you tell us how the idea for Take What You Need came to you?
It was about 8 weeks ago, and I was sitting at home like everyone else, locked in the house, and watching the news and getting more and more depressed about what I saw. And in particular, there was a food distribution drive at the stadium. And to see that many cars wrapped around the stadium for a box of food really touched me. And I felt so helpless. And I went to my cabinets and I had too much, because I said, me and my husband, we're not going to go through all this. So I started pulling food out. Then I started calling friends and family, asking them, do you have any pantry items that you don't want? And so I went around, collected food, and I called Gigi and I said, you know what? I want to set up a table in front of my house, and we're going to say free food, take what you need. You know, we're not going to be out there. We'll just provide bags and people can come up and take whatever they want. And I was scared to tell my husband because I was afraid he was going to think there would be a whole line of people outside of our house. So I waited till he went to work, and Gigi came over, Randy came over, and Randy also, his mom works, volunteers at a church, and she donated tons of food. So Randy drove to LA and came back. We set up all this food on the table and watched people come over, take pictures, come over, get out their car, was kind of nervous, apprehensive, and would take items. Then a week later, we did it in front of Randy's house, and there were way more people. And what touched me that time are the stories, because we sat out there because it's a public sidewalk. We sat out there, and people wanted to share their stories of why they stopped, and that really touched me. And we would post that we're doing this on Facebook, and Tootie from Lips, she also volunteers with Ferret 44, and Tootie said we may be able to help you, and they've provided us with a space and a storage to store the food. And between donations and our own money or Randy getting stuff, we've been able to keep it going. And we're so thankful for everybody that's been really receptive in the community. And it helped for us getting out of the house and getting back to volunteer work. That was really refreshing for the soul.
You know, this past Tuesday, I actually had the opportunity to come out there with you guys and see what it was all about. And it was really nice to see the people just come in and be extremely thankful for what you guys were able to give them. And doing this community and charity work that we've all been doing for all these years, like, people have no idea unless they're part of the experience what it's like to be behind, like, our court Easter egg hunt, or our Thanksgiving dinner that we do every year, or our Christmas toy drive, or anything like that. But all that stuff is materialistic. But when it comes down to people being hungry and not having food to eat, and being able to give that to people because you know that at the end of that day they're going to be able to have dinner because of something you did, is a very awesome and humbling experience. All right, guys, we are going to go ahead and take a quick commercial. We will be right back, and we are definitely going to be getting down to the tea when we come back.
Here we go.
Welcome to Red Wing Bar and Grill, located in the heart of North Park in San Diego. Established for more than 50 years, Red Wing Bar and Grill has recently grown to become a favorite neighborhood bar and hotspot. At Red Wing Bar and Grill, there's a little something for everyone. You can join us for a game of pool or darts, buzz time trivia, live hosted trivia, or for some of the best karaoke in town 6 nights a week. We feature all major sporting events on our 9 flat-screen TVs, both inside and out. We are well equipped with 2 full-service bars and a large outdoor smoking patio staffed with friendly bartenders in a relaxed, laid-back atmosphere. Our menu features a variety of bar fare, such as our signature Red Wing burger, our signature Pucker Up hot dog, great appetizers, and much more. We strive to create fun, delicious items using high-quality ingredients. Our grill is open till midnight every night and 1 a.m. on Fridays and Saturdays. Red Wing Bar and Grill is your local neighborhood bar. You can never go wrong with the drink specials, and there's always something happening every day of the week. Stop by and check us out.
All right, you guys, welcome back to It's Sweet Tea Time. Once again, my name is Regina Stiles. I am your host. We are at the last part of our show today, and like we say, it's now time to get real. And that's what we're about to do with Gigi and Darnelle. So let's go ahead and bring them back. Once again, you guys, welcome 47th elected monarchs of the Imperial Court of San Diego and 2 of our community leaders. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome back Gigi Masters and Darnelle. Are we doing the brush challenge? Let me get out mine. So, guys, are you guys enjoying yourself? We're at the last.
Oh,
yeah.
We're having a blast.
Yeah.
We're at the last stretch of our interview here today. So, as we all know, today is Juneteenth. One of the things that I wanted to do is we are definitely going to be asking the hard-hitting questions and definitely getting your guys' opinions and your outlooks on different things that are going on in our community, San Diego's community per se, and then also what's going on in the world. The first thing I want to talk about is actually what today is, which is Juneteenth. And I'm going to go ahead and read something that I found real quick to you guys, and then I'll ask my questions. Juneteenth is the oldest national holiday commemorating emancipation from slavery in the United States. While the Emancipation Proclamation went into effect on June 1st, 1863, it wasn't until 2 years later, on June 19th, 1865, that the enslaved people in Galveston, Texas, finally learned they were free. The day became known as Juneteenth, a day to reconnect with lost family members and define values of racial equality and empowerment for future generations. Black people held readings of the Emancipation Proclamation, preached religious sermons, and sang spirituals, prepared and shared meals, and developed new family traditions. Juneteenth has been celebrated by Black communities across the country and now is a holiday observed in 47 states. So why don't you, Juneteenth celebrates in Black freedom and recognizes the ongoing struggle against systematic racism that persists in America today.
But no one knew about Juneteenth until Trump told
Yeah,
everybody.
so we have to thank our
No,
president.
no, no, no.
for
You
bringing
guys,
it to
I'm gonna get to that actually. But what do you guys think about what I just read?
It's the truth. That Juneteenth, the richness behind the celebration, is ingrained in the African American community because it embraces family. And it not only embraces the freedom that we were given at that time, but as you read, it's all about coming together as a family and sharing traditions and reconnecting with family. So that's why a lot of people, they have like reunions on that day, or they have cookouts, or they have things at their home and stuff like that, and bring their whole family together, because that day was a day of celebration. And so when they celebrated their freedom, but they also celebrated their families that as well.
Darnell?
Um, it was completely having to remake what the family was, because you were no longer property. And none of us will truly know the way that feels when they say you can finally go free. And to finally be free, and just to have to form, like you read, traditions that you could go where you wanted to, or you could do what you wanted to, or start a family. But we've come such a long way. And although we're not enslaved anymore, we still have a ways to go, especially with so much going on in this country right now.
The two things I wanted to add to this Juneteenth thing was, first, what do you think of his name, who will not be mentioned on this broadcast, saying that because of him mentioning it and talking about it, it has made it famous, Juneteenth. What is your opinion on that?
It's complete ignorance. And it didn't surprise me at this point, because now he, who shall not be named, is grasping at straws at the moment. He's trying anything to gather any kind of positive notoriety, even though everything he does seems to fail at this moment. Of course, we know about Juneteenth before he said something about it. The only reason that it was synopsis, initially it was a mistake when he picked the 19th of June to do his rally, because he had no idea what it was. He had no idea what Juneteenth was. So that's why he picked that date. And then when they told him what it was, and especially where he was having it, and they told him what could potentially happen, and it still may potentially happen, that's when his administration was like, okay, we need to move it at least one day.
Right.
And
Darnell?
when you feel, personally, I feel that there's no way I could be more disappointed, but he always one-ups himself. And it amazes me. No, that to this day, I still remain shocked at the things that he says and that he does. And his policies have been so destructive. He won, fine. Do no harm. Just sit back. Maybe 4 years, maybe 8. You know, he's the president, but he's done so much harm to this country. And the mixed signals, whether it be, sorry, a tweet on George Floyd, and then you turn around and share a tweet bashing George Floyd from Candace Owens the next day. It's like, get your signals right, man. You know, what are you doing? And it's just, and it's hurtful. We've never seen anything like this in modern history. And I hope that people can really come together on November 3rd and we make a better choice next time.
And the second part of what I wanted to ask you about that is there has been some rumbling going about Juneteenth. How would you guys feel about Juneteenth becoming do you think it should or become a federal holiday?
That's a mixed. For me, that would be a mixed question, like a mixed bag question, because that has never been an issue until the things that have come up in this country that are here now. They have never. I'll take that back. I won't say they have never tried to get it to become a federal holiday. There has never been a push for it to become a federal holiday. There have been proposals made to make it a federal holiday. They've always been shot down. But now, because of the pulse of the country right now it's back at the forefront again. So to me, it would be like pandering. It's like, okay, we're going to give you this because of what's going on, not because of its significance, but because this is to placate you so that you don't, get upset and start picketing or start protesting again. So it would be, for me, it would be a little bit disingenuous.
Well, it's okay to accept it though, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, so timing is everything. And the timing looks really sad. And like Gigi said, it looks like it's pandering, but hell, I'll take it. You know what I'm saying? It's long overdue. I'll take it.
One of the things we mentioned in our last segment about the Imperial Court. So you guys stepped down in February of this year of 2020. And in the words of Gigi, I've heard her say it, you said it too, you guys escaped by the hair on your chinny chin chin, basically.
Yeah, this one's right here.
Yeah, that not even a month after you guys stepped down, everything was in lockdown because of this pandemic.
Yes.
How has this pandemic affected both of you guys, and how are you guys surviving the quarantine?
Let you start.
Well, me and my refrigerator have become very good friends. We've gotten closer. We
Weren't
understand
you
each
close
other.
before?
Huh?
Weren't you close before?
No, we had an understanding, but now we're really, really close. We're really close. We understand each other now. I, I was talking to a friend of mine, and what we shared was that this whole pandemic and being at home and not being able to be social like we used to, we were speaking that we have really gotten in touch with ourselves, as into things that we wanted to do and stopped doing, or we stopped dreaming about things that we wanted to do. So we've had a lot of time to think about stuff, like there are things that when this is over, I want to go back to do. Like I want to go back and get my degree in fashion and stuff like that, because I started it, never finished it. So now I want to go back to school. So, you get in touch with yourself. When you don't have anybody else to talk to, you talk to yourself and you get in touch with yourself. So we were talking, and I think that's what a lot of people are doing, are getting in touch with themselves, literally and mentally, about trying to get close to like the things that they want to do in their lives.
Darnell?
For me, I have my husband, I have my fur babies, I have my family that I would talk to on the phone. But there were certain points where I would really say to myself, is this what depression feels like? I would get these weird feelings. I said, I believe I'm falling into depression about certain things, and that's just not like me. I've never experienced anything like that. So in one sense, that's how Take What You Need came about. And then I really had to sit and think about what the important things are in life. It's not important to me anymore to sit behind a desk and be someone's employee. Like Gigi is going to go back and pursue a degree, I'm going to get my insurance agent's license and possibly open up my own insurance agency. So being locked in the house has really made me put things into perspective about life, about what's really important.
Which is
And
I was just getting ready.
Yeah.
I was getting ready to say the same thing. And that's how I feel too. You get to know yourself a little bit better and feel what you're gonna do. Now let's talk about some of the craziness that's been going on. Let's touch on the George Floyd situation. And actually before that, I'm finally glad to have you two on this show, because I have felt, and I'll say it like this and be very open and blunt, that as a white person, this is not my discussion to have, especially if it's not someone of color that I'm talking to. And I feel that I'm very happy and blessed to have you two be on this show and be a part of this, so we could actually talk about this and we get your opinion and your outlook, because you two are two people of color. So let's talk about the George Floyd situation and what transpired, and how this world basically has decided to stand up against police brutality. Have you guys actually watched the video?
yes, we watched the video.
I didn't want to watch the video, but I watched the entire almost 9-minute video, and it was horrific. And what happened to him transcends race. And that's why you see not only Black people in the streets, you see every race in the streets. Unlike what happened to Rodney King in '92, where there were primarily Black people in the streets, or nearly 100% Black people, what happened to him, watching someone on television in high definition pleading for their life, when he said, "Sir, please help me," to the one with his knee on his neck, watching another human being urinate on themselves and ask for their mother that had died 2 years to the day before, was horrific. And it should never, ever happen again.
My take on it is that this country we've always, as African American people, have always said that this was going on. We've always protested and screamed and hollered that this was happening. This time, the country had a front row seat.
Everyone got to see it.
To what we have been saying for decades and years and years and years.
Exactly.
The country, this is not just an isolated incident. This didn't just happen. This has been happening. It's just that it was broadcasted. You got to watch it in its entirety. And people were shocked that not only did this happen and did it happen in this country, but it was done by someone that's been sworn to protect and serve. And they was like, oh my God. So they weren't lying. They weren't making it up. They weren't being dramatic.
And this wasn't a third world country. This is the United States of America. And to have 3 other officers there and no one did anything. And then you hear the pleas of the people. Please, man, help him. Help him. And the arrogance that you see on this officer's face is horrible.
It goes beyond, at that point, it goes beyond race. You just don't have your neck on a Black man. You have your neck on a human being. And you as a person should have some kind of humanity that would prevent you from doing something like that. Literally torturing a man, constricting his airway, and slowly dying. That's something they do. That's a way of torture. That's a form of torture in some countries. Right. So, but this is somebody that's sworn to protect and serve the community, and you're out killing us. That's not right.
Well, what do you take on the fact that there had been rumors or people saying that this was kind of like a revenge thing for the officer because they had known each other from a workplace.
I
And
have heard that.
Yeah, we
he
heard
didn't he didn't like George Floyd. So basically,
For me, that really didn't. I've heard conflicting reports that they worked together, but they never really knew each other. They were in the same space, but they weren't, like, co-workers. So,
right.
but regardless of all that, that is a human being. That's another living soul. So
And
your compassion for another living soul shouldn't have never allowed him to do that.
And even Sister Breonna Taylor, a sister was sleeping in her bed, and police came into her home and shot her dead in her bed. So, and no one's been arrested. I think one officer just got fired, but no one's been arrested for that.
The fact that these instances keep happening even after George Floyd is further proof that there is a systematic problem
There's
in
something
our
wrong.
country with the way that we are the way our police have been trained. It would be different if it just happened and nothing else happened, but there have been instances after George Floyd
There's too many.
that you can say that there's something wrong, because after George Floyd and everything that's happened, you would think that these instances wouldn't happen anymore,
I've seen
but they keep happening. So there's something in the training of our officers, that the way that they're programmed to police the urban areas of our communities, that is wrong and needs to be changed.
even the videos of people peacefully protesting. There was a sister that was a grandmother in La Mesa that got shot between the eyes. She could have died
right.
out there peacefully protesting.
Yeah.
And
And I
it's not even just African Americans. The older gentleman in New York, where the police just literally pushed him over and he was bleeding from his ear, and a line of policemen just walked past him. Even one officer went to bend down to help him, and his other officers stopped him and told him to keep going. That's proof that there is something wrong in the system.
right. No, and I completely agree. I've always said that the police, no matter where, here, there, and everywhere, needs better training. Needs better training. Let's talk a little bit more about you just said something about the protests, the peaceful protests. There have been over an amount of people who have been protesting through the United States and even in different countries over all of this systematic racism and all of everything that's going on. How does it make you guys feel to see all of the young people and everybody getting their voice out there?
Out of everything that's happened, I think that brings me the most hope, especially being from a different generation than some of these young ones that are late teens, 20s, 30s. Seeing these young people, and when they started to speak up, especially on social media, especially here in San Diego, that was an inspiration. I said, look at these young babies. Look at these babies speaking up, giving them hell. And when I seen them marching, I said, give them hell. You keep on marching, baby. You keep on marching. Keep marching peacefully. Keep marching. I'll be out there as soon as it gets cool enough. No, but that was really inspirational to me, is seeing these young people use their voices, and they got this fire. And that's what brings me some hope, is that I think right now we're going to see some change. And I hope that fire stays lit in people, and we can really see some substantive change in our community.
Yeah. It just goes back to the video. The video is what sparked everything. When you have something like that put in your face, you have to evaluate which side of history you're going to be on. Because you can either deny it happened, or you can say, this is going on, this is not right, this needs to change. And people have never had it put in their face like that before. They've always been told, but they've never seen it. So this time they saw it. And so that's what's been the catalyst, that they was actually seen.
All right. So one of the another subject I want to bring up with you guys is actually right now, as I know of, San Diego based, and I want to talk about the division of our San Diego community because of the decision of San Diego Pride and our LGBT Center to, number one, ban uniform cops from coming into the center at all for their events or anything else, or to march in the parade until they do something about what's going on. What is your outlook on that?
When I was younger and I attended Pride, the only time that I recall when I was younger that the police were there were to protect the people in the parade from the protesters. They always stood between the protesters and the people in the parade. And then eventually we got to the point where the police walked in the parade. And I remember the controversy that year because a lot of them felt forced, they didn't want to be there. And then as time went on, the police officers wanted to be there. And you kind of got this sense like, oh, hey, the popo's on our side. That's kind of how we felt,
Right.
my group of friends. The popo's on our side finally. They marching with us. They got the little flags and stuff like that. There's some gay officers and everything holding hands and everything. And then recently, we have a trans officer, at least one, here in San Diego, and she would come to the center. And then there would be some pushback about her wearing a weapon and her uniform. And not only her, about other officers. And then this year, when they were going to have a virtual Pride parade, they made the move to exclude police officers from the virtual. I'm not going to watch a virtual anyway, because I would rather be out there and have the real thing. I think there needs to be a greater conversation had between now and next year when we actually go back to a physical parade. Because they're still part of this community. There needs to be some solid changes. I'm completely on board about the conversation about redirecting funds. The same way you don't have a high school teacher teaching different subjects throughout the day. They specialize in one subject. The police should specialize in one or two areas. And you should really have the qualified individuals that can deal with mental health issues or substance issues that don't involve the police. I think there's a conversation to be had about that.
Gigi, before you answer, or if you had a comment about that, I want to touch on something that Darnelle said. How do both, and you can actually, it's a question that I can ask both of you, but Gigi, you can put it part of your statement, is how do you feel that those decisions by the center and by Pride, by their executive directors, were made without community input, and they actually, now this is just stuff that I've heard, that they didn't get any community input, and they're laying it at the doors of the people of color or the transgender community, that just because one person or two people say it, it's how everyone feels. Now, what do you think about that?
I think that was a mistake. On the way that it was done was a mistake. I think there should have been more of, like Darnelle said, more of a conversation before action had been taken, because
it took us so long to get them. And I think that we just felt excluded.
Yeah.
A lot of people felt excluded from the decision.
Yeah, there should have been more discussion than just an announcement. You needed to ask not just one or two people of color, but you should have asked the majority of people of color. Now, I understand what they were doing. I totally get it. And a lot of it comes from pressure. Being politically correct in this season right now, you want to be on the right side of history, but there's a way to do it where it doesn't seem like you're just doing it out of fear and panic. And when those announcements came, that's what it seemed like. It was done out of fear and panic. Like, okay, let me do this so that we can show that we're on board or on the same page as them. It's okay to be on board, but take your time and do things the correct way. there should have been a larger conversation about excluding the police from Pride and from the center. There should have been a commission, some police officers or the police commissioner or the police chief to come in, and so that we can voice as a community our concerns with the police being at the events so they can hear us and not feel attacked. Because even in this country and even in the climate now, police officers do feel attacked. So we don't want to personally attack them. We want them to know that their policies need to change, and this is what needs to happen for us to feel comfortable with you guys being in our presence.
Right. All right. So now we're going to touch on the last subject that that I know that definitely a lot of people have on their mind these days, and that is Election Day. A lot of people have talked about that they don't believe that either one of the candidates are good enough to be the president of the United States. But a lot of us feel, and I'm included in that anybody that doesn't vote is a vote for Trump. I said I wouldn't say his name, but I'll say it there. And we want to put blue in there and not red. So, Darnelle, I know that you are a member of the ICC, of the International Imperial Court Council, and you are working on something right now that you want to get out there, and I'll let you tell people about it.
Yeah, the ICC, the International Court Council, is really pushing hard for the get out to vote. So the slogan is get out of the closet, get into the voting booth. And I started thinking about how I can contribute to the conversation. And I really truly believe, because I'm not a math wizard, but I believe in a lot, especially in a lot of these Republican states, there's an old African proverb called each one teach one. And I would like to say, change that to each one register one. If every Democrat registers one other person that will vote on a D ticket, I think we'll be fine in November. But my one prediction for November, regardless, we're going to have a white man. That's my prediction. Me and Gigi also been talking about who he should pick for his VP. He backed himself into a corner about choosing a woman because he announced that instead of, sitting back. And I think that's great. I think it should be a woman, but he backed himself into a corner because after seeing Cuomo for a few months on TV, it's like, we'll take a second look at him. And now it looks like it's going to be a woman of color. I don't know. Gigi doesn't agree with me. I think he should throw a Hail Mary and get Michelle Obama. Because when you talk about someone being vetted already, someone being well known, I think she would be a great VP pick.
And after watching, I don't know if you guys have watched it. I know I just watched it the day before yesterday. Her special on Netflix, Becoming. I think she would be a great person for to be the VP. But there's still other people that are being considered. We don't know. But Gigi, what's your thought on that?
Right now, it's come down to the lesser of two evils, basically. And in my opinion, the current president should have never been the current president in the first place. But this is where we are right now. So, and it to me, it doesn't have anything to do with blue or red. Just we need somebody that's here that's going to move the country away from where we are right now, and move our country away from the policies that this current president has put in place. I mean, the way that this country is looked at around the world is horrible. We've never been in this position as a country. We're the leaders of the world, quote unquote. And there are other countries looking at us like giving us a side eye because of our president. And we need to get somebody in office that is, number one, mentally stable enough to do the job. Because he's really, and it's since he become president, his mental capacity has gotten worse than it was when he was first elected. He's just gone downhill. So we can't afford as a country to allow ourselves to go through another 4 years of him. Who knows what he'll do in 2024?
Yeah, he's the pure definition of a narcissist. And if given another 4 years after what we've seen, and it would be no holds barred. I would not put it past him to roll back,
Everything.
especially that has to do with the LGBTQ2S plus community. I would not put it past him to start rollbacks.
Right.
His administration is supporting the Catholic Church and not allowing gay couples to adopt. It's horrible. It's horrible. And this is a person that'll throw you a bone every now and then you're supposed to look the other way. And I'm glad that people in his administration are either leaving or speaking up, because this man, it's a time bomb.
He's had more in his administration. He's had more turnover than a Jack in the Box. I mean, he has people coming and going and coming and going in his administration. He can't keep a chief of nothing, chief of staff, nothing. The only person I think the only two people that are still in office in their positions that were originally put in their positions is Ben Watson and Betty DeVos. Those are the only two people in his administration that have been in their positions this whole time, and basically they've been there because they haven't done anything.
And when people do leave the administration, they're now a dog, they're a loser, they're a liar, they're a low life, but you chose them. You chose them to be part of your team.
Because he was supposed to drain the swamp, remember?
All right, guys, we have come to the basic end of our discussion here with you guys here today. We are going to do one more thing, which I love. One of my favorite parts of the whole show is called Picture Association. I'm going to throw up some pictures. We're going to do some individual ones for just Darnelle and just for Gigi, but I do have some group ones that I want to show. When I show the picture, all I want you to do is just tell me who's in the picture, what the picture was or where it was for, and how the picture makes you feel. So we're going to go ahead and start with this one right here.
R&B divas. That was fun.
That was
a lot of fun. All African Americans coming together to give something to the community that we hadn't really had, and that was a night of gospel, R&B, soul, rap, everything, and it was an amazing group of people. Amazing.
Yeah. I made just about every dress in that picture. I think the only dress that I did not make was Coco's. I made everybody else's dress. I think I picked that fabric out too.
And if it wasn't for Rona, we was coming back next month.
We sure was. But Andre Campbell put that group together. Yeah. And we had a great time doing that show. It was wonderful. And we had the cast, the camaraderie
and
between
the Kings,
cast.
And we added the Black Kings.
Yeah, we had Kings as well. We had a troop of Kings that worked with us as well.
All right, let's get another one in there. Here's this one. What is your thoughts?
Oh, Wakanda forever. Gigi sold most of those outfits.
Yep.
And that's our team. And we're so proud of everybody.
Yeah, they have really taken off individually. Ziggy and Ryan and Amber and they make us so Damon. They make us so proud that they're a part of us as far as the court is concerned and as friends, because there are a group of young people that are really stepping forward and stepping out,
using their voices.
And this was right before we went up on stage for our opening for our walk-in. That was right before.
And Nicole, surprisingly, this look was Nicole's idea. She said, "Why don't you guys do regal African attire or whatever?" And we was like, "Okay, we was really gonna do it anyway."
We was gonna do it anyway. But this was the T was. We was gonna do it anyway.
But the Queen Mother gave her blessing before we told her.
Exactly. We had already plotted to do it. So
right. All right. So here's the next one. This one is just for Gigi. I'm going to throw up this picture, and you just tell me who's in it, where it was taken, and how you feel about the person in the picture.
Oh, that's my baby. That was at my 40th birthday party. And that was at Numbers, the club that is no longer with us. Oh, I missed that club too. That was my 40th birthday party, and that is my son Tony. Um, Tony is married. He got a husband. He lives up, if I'm not mistaken, up in Victorville. And that's you know how you have children, but you have one child that's usually right up underneath you. Tony is a mama's boy. Tony is always up underneath me when he was here in San Diego. Wherever I went, there was Tony. So, Dad, that's my baby. That mama baby.
And Gigi brought up Numbers. I have a story about Numbers. One day, Gigi was
We
going
all got numbers.
Gigi was going to perform and forgot our butt and hip pads.
Don't
Well, they closed down. I wouldn't tell the story if they were still open. She went in the back and took the couch pillows off the couch and ran in the bathroom and snatched the pillows out of the covers and threw them up in her ass for some hips and behind.
Hey, you got to do what you got to do.
No, what had happened was, do you remember the couches and stuff that was in the back in the other room, Regina?
Yes.
Okay, so I had ran off. I left my hips, so I took one of the pillows and pulled the stuff and out, and put it in my pantyhose, and made 2 sets of hips, and I zipped it back up. It was deflated. I put it back on the couch.
Hot mess, girl. All right, Darnelle, this one is for you.
Oh, my chicken. That's Lilia. I've known Lilia since 1988. And
They was
oh my
showers
God,
together.
yes. Lilia she knew me when I was a gang member. I was a gang member for 2 weeks. I was a blood. Like exactly 2. I got jumped in and everything in the tetherball courts in middle school. And I was a blood, and like I lasted 2 weeks because of poor management. I had to get out of there. But yeah, that's my Lilia. That's my lady in waiting in ICP.
Nice. Okay. All right, Miss Gigi, this one is for you.
Oh, Mama Wheels. So that is Satin's mom, who is Marie Munoz, and we called her Mama Wheels. And she was also a part of the Imperial Court. Wasn't Mama Wheels a crown princess?
Yes, she was.
Yeah. So she was a crown princess as well. And Mama Wheels used to Satin, me, you, and anybody else that can get up in the back of that van around anywhere that they needed to go. She was one of the most sweetest, kindest ladies that we had in this community and in the court system. She would do anything, and for her to be a paraplegic and have to get in a wheelchair and then get her clothes on and then get in her van and get in the van, and she had one of the mechanical vans with the lift in it. And I drove that van. That van was horrible to try to drive with them hand controls. Whoo, child, I almost died trying to drive that van one day. She didn't feel like I did. We almost killed everybody because she didn't feel like driving back from an event. But yeah, that was my one. That was my heart. That's my godmama right there. And I used to I stayed with them for a while before me and Satin moved up to the apartment above them in the other corner of the apartment complex. And then after that, I ended up taking care of Marie's mom right before she passed. I was her caregiver for a while.
Nice.
Beatrice. Yes, Beatrice.
Yes. All right. Now this picture that I'm coming up for Darnelle, you just need to explain the picture and give us the background story on this picture.
Oh, that was the America's Got Talent days. And we were on it was like a 2-hour break from filming. And we were driving in Hollywood, and outside of this antique store were all these people looking in the window, and there were all these paparazzi. So I said, pull over, got to be somebody famous. So I went up there dressed as Granny Pearl, and I'm like, can y'all go in? They're like, oh no, we're too scared. Who is in there? Britney Spears. I said, I'm going in. So I opened up the door and I found Britney all the way in the back looking at some fine china. I said, "Hey, how you?" And she just smiled at me. And then she got ready to walk out, and I was right behind her, like 2 feet behind her. And it was just flash, 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 taking pictures. And I said, "Leave us alone. We're just trying to get to our car. Leave us alone." And Britney Spears was laughing her ass off. And I remember that. And she got in the car to back up. She almost hit somebody. But yeah, that was Britney Spears. That was the good old days. Yep.
Lord, Lordy, Lordy, Lord. All right, Miss Gigi, this one is for you.
Oh, so remember the story about the boyfriend? That's the boyfriend.
When I found the
that
picture, it said "My First Love."
that is the
Oh
boyfriend.
Lord.
That is the boyfriend. You know what? I think that his name is actually. It's so funny because is his name is Eugene, and that's my middle name, my
Funny.
government name.
He looks like a DeBarge.
And yeah, it's so funny. Now he is Hispanic, and I used to. His grandmother, she had no clue what was going on. Bless her heart, she had no clue what was going on. But I used to go over, like when we were in high school together. I used to go over his house almost every day, and she loved me. She called me her what did she call me?
Bitch.
No. But I can't remember what she used to call me. It's been so long, but she every time I come over, she would cook for me. I would spend the night over there, and yeah, we had a good time. Yes, we did.
She let the enemy in the
He
house.
was handsome. Actually, if I'm not, yeah, actually, that was a year before our prom. That we went to prom with different people the year before, so that was a year before our actual prom.
Okay.
And
All
we got a lot of flack for taking a picture like that with our canes, our hands on that cane like that. They were like, "Why both of y'all got your hands on that cane like that?" And
Just outed
we just
yourselves.
looking at each other like, "Well, because one of us didn't have a cane, so we just used that one."
All right, Darnell, here we go.
Oh, that's Mama Pal. That's mommy. Yes. That's my mammy. That's the one that snatched off thine wig. That's my
Oh
girl.
Lord,
That's my favorite girl in the world.
your favorite girl in the world.
Hmm.
All right. Oh, I'm having so much fun. I don't want this to end, but we are getting there.
Who
We
is
have
this? Who is this? This Olin Mills?
I have two more pictures that I want to show, so we're gonna go ahead and do that just real quick. Okay, so here we go. We're gonna go ahead and take Miss Carmen, Miss Powell off of there, and then I'm gonna go ahead and once again, Darnell, this one is for you.
Oh, that's me husband, man. That was taken in '06, and that was taken on our wedding day. We were wearing Calvin Klein, and we were wearing these borrowed vintage brooches.
Lord. I'm sorry.
And I was supposed to do a show for Francesca the night before. I don't know why I said yes, knowing good and well I needed facial hair for the wedding. And we stayed up all night decorating. But I had to cancel that show, and I hate canceling shows. But I regretted that for years, canceling the show on Francesca the night before my wedding. But I should have known better than to say yes. But I hate saying no to people. But yeah,
You could have showed up to the
that was our
wedding with
wedding day.
eyeliner on.
With eyeliner. And
Eyeliner.
then that would have ruined my picture forever. They was like, "What's he got that eyeliner on?" Then would
I
have
swear,
makeup on the collar. You know that makeup, that brown makeup don't come off.
Darnell, I swear I every time I see a picture of you as a boy, you ain't never smiling.
Trying to look hard.
Every drag picture in the world you got, you're off. But all right, this is the last picture we got to show, and then we're going to go ahead and head up out of here. And this one is for you, Gigi. Just go ahead and explain it.
Oh, that's my mom. That's Miss Nora. That's my heartbeat. Actually, next week is the 2-year anniversary of her passing. But yeah, that's my heart right there. That was also at my 40th birthday party. She actually they had tricked me. My nieces had tricked me. Um, I had planned the party, and she was saying that she was gonna go. And then that morning, she called me and told me that she was sick and that she wasn't gonna go. And so I didn't expect her to show up. And so about maybe 20, maybe 30 minutes into the party, somebody tapped me in my shoulder, and I turned around and she was standing there, and I almost burst out into tears because she was there. But yeah, that's Miss Nora. That's 2 years without that old broad. That's where, if anybody wants to know where I get my personality and this mouth from that old lady.
All right, you guys, we are going to do one last thing that I've never actually done before that we just thought that we would do now.
Don't be using us as no guinea pig.
Oh no, don't worry. You guys have definitely grown into being two successful leaders and people of color in our community, and just successful in your own lives. I'm going to pop up a picture. We'll start with Gigi. Gigi, this is what would you tell a young Gary now?
Oh,
What would you tell
my
Gary now about your life now?
I would tell little Gigi, that it's okay that you're different. It's okay that you are who you are, and don't wait as long as you did to let people know who you are. Because I waited a long time to let people really know who I was, for fear of fear of being disowned, fear of people not liking me and people not accepting me. So it took me a long time to get past that. So I would tell little Gary, don't be afraid, and don't take so long to blossom and open up and let people know who you really are.
All right. Thank you so much, Gigi. All right. Darnelle. Same thing for you. What could you tell little Darnelle now?
Was you a co-star in It?
Oh my goodness. I would tell little Darnelle, I feel like I'm on Drag Race. I would tell little Darnelle it's going to be several more years before you learn to blend. Don't trust any guy that says spit will work. They were all lying to you when you were younger. It's not baby fat. You're going to be 37 and still, it's not baby fat after that. And like Gigi, come out sooner. Stop hiding. Come out and be yourself, because your personality is what people really want to see, and you'll be happier.
All right. Thank you so much. All right, everybody. Once again, I would really love to thank Gigi and Darnelle for joining us here today on It's Sweet Tea Time. If you guys don't know Gigi and Darnelle, get to know them. Two of the funniest people I know. If you're having a bad day, believe me, by the time you're done talking to them, you'll have done pissed your pants. I guarantee it. Thank you for joining us, Gigi and Darnelle. I will talk to you guys.
Sister.
Thank you for having us.
We'll see you soon.
Bye,
y'all.
All right, everybody. Once again, thank you for joining us today here on It's Sweet Tea Time. My name is Regina Stiles. I am your host. We would like to remind you once again that if you would like to donate to Take What You Need, please go to Venmo and what do we do? You what is it? Oh yeah, Randolph-Welsh on Venmo. So please make sure that you guys do that for us. And please join us for our show on Monday. We will definitely have who's going to be our guest up soon. And we are looking forward to having a great rest of your weekend. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, thank you so much and have a great weekend.